You can start with your introduction, your experience, and then accordingly you can share your screen and we can proceed with the SAP TM demo. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Sana, for organizing the session. So, thank you all for joining in the session. So, let me introduce you to myself. My name is Akash, and I've been into TM for more than around 10 years now. And I've been working into various. Just give me a second. So let me know once you are able to see my screen, guys. I hope you are able to see my screen, right? Can anybody confirm? Hello? Hello, all?
Yeah. Hi, Akash.
Okay. Hi. So I think my screen is visible to all, right? Any responses? Yes, no? Hello?
Yeah, I can see your screen, Akash.
Okay, great, Samir. Thank you for your response. So, just to proceed well, okay. So, so just to proceed with about myself, my name is Akash, and I've been into TM for more than around 10 years now, and working on with various kind of TM along with various kind of projects coming down to the implementation, rollout, support, migration, and various kind of aspects related to TM. Also, close to around, I've been working into various integration of the modules that is closely integrated and tightly packed with TM. For example, like EHS, ECC, CRM, FI, EWM. So there are a couple of aspects I've been working on too as a part of my journey with TM. Apart from that, I have worked on to various versions and aspects of TM. So it's close to around 9 point series. I worked close to completely on that part. Uh, and apart from that, I've also been working into embedded TM into S4 HANA that we have into the exposure. So apart from that, I've worked on to various client depending on the logistics partners, players, carriers. There are a lot many people into the transportation companies I've been into it. So that is simply an association that I have exposure with. This is just a brief background about myself. Uh, and would just like to know basically the audience, just a brief background, maybe Samir, if I can check on with you, maybe just a quick intro about yourself, maybe what is your background simply. Samir?
Yeah, Akash.
Yes, maybe if you can just let me know about yourself, just a quick intro, your background on
Yeah,
that part.
yeah, sure, Akash. Like this is Abdul Samir. I do have 3.5 years of experience into SAP EWM. So I worked on 3 implementations and one support project.
Okay, great. Uh, can we come to Rakesh maybe? Rakesh, if you are audible.
Yeah, hi everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, you're
Hello.
audible. Yes,
Yeah,
you're
hi
audible.
everyone. Yeah, okay. Hi everyone. This is Rakesh. I'm currently working with Capgemini in SAP TM project only, but basically I'm working on
Okay.
monitoring issues. Okay, and
Okay,
do not have
understood.
any prior experience. But yeah, actually, but I'm certified in SAP SD and working. I was working in SAP SD support projects only. Then I switched to SAP TM.
I
So
understood.
I'm looking for any SAP TM certification.
Understood. Uh, Dinesh,
Hi everyone, I am Dinesh. I am a fresher. I
hi.
am recently hello.
Hi, Dinesh. Yeah, Dinesh.
Hi sir. Hi everyone, I am Dinesh. I am recently working in Infosys. I am a fresher sir. I'm not know
Okay.
any SAP project.
No worries, no worries, no worries. That is fine. Hi, Shivaraj.
Hi Akash.
Hi.
So basically, I'm SAP MM consultant and having around 8 years of experience on SAP MM
Great,
and few
great,
basic SAP HD knowledge. Along with that, I'm working on IS oil and gas project currently.
great, great.
Yeah.
So, thank you for all your introduction. So, with this, I would just like to simply ask, since we are getting into transportation management, so uh, what is basically your understanding, or what would you understand simply with a term called as transport and the logistics? There are two pictures just to give you an indication what a transport is and what a logistics would mean to you. Any guesses?
Akash, as per my understanding, transportation means transporting goods or services from one place to another, whereas logistics means it includes transport plus also warehousing, thing, picking, packing, everything, logistics includes that as well. Warehousing. Uh,
Okay, okay, okay. Anything else? Anybody else have any kind of view? Thank you for your response.
So Rashikar, yeah, so transportation comes into picture once we are delivering any, I mean, to customer, or either it might be between two plants. So in that case, if you are going for transportation, we'll be having different scenarios like marine, air, ship, and what is the means of transport, those kind of things, and also freight charges. So
Mm-hmm.
and how it is going to calculate, all this comes under this transportation. And logistics is something, as earlier said, it's a warehouse where we will be storing that inventory management and all these things. Stock will be placed.
Okay. So pretty much on to the right direction. Okay, so when I say transport and logistics, most of the places you have transport and logistics, these are intermittently used. Okay, so transportation is basically simply an activity to transport an object or goods from point A to point B location. That is the wholesome process. Now it can be via truck, bus, car, plane, ship. It can be any means. Okay, it can be any other thing that you can do just to move the goods from point A to point B location. Whereas logistics is a bigger umbrella, which definitely includes transportation that is there. Apart from that, it also provides picking, packing, your warehousing, security, clearances, taxes. All those aspects are basically covered under the logistics part. Okay, so when I talk about transportation, it is a different thing. Logistics, it is a different thing. So what we are going to talk about as a part of your transportation management is purely based upon how transportation is happening. That is one of the aspects. How it is supporting the logistics part, how it is being clubbed or it is being the part of the subset. How this transport is basically the part of your entire bigger umbrella as a logistics. That is what we are going to see as a part of in TM. So to talk about what TM is, what is a TM? TM is basically one of the transportation module that SAP is actually offering it to you. There are a lot many players in the ERP space like Oracle, Blue Yonder, JDA, Cubex, Manhattan. There are a lot many ERP companies which are actually offering their transportation solution, out of which SAP is one of the company which is also offering a solution in transportation space called as SAP Transportation Management, which is basically a standalone solution which is catered to bring out the needs of both of these activities, like transportation as well and logistics aspect as well. So it can be utilized in both aspects. Now, you might have heard about something called as LE, because most often when we talk about SAP TM, it is most often confused with LETRA. So, any idea what LE is actually? Or any of you guys must have worked or heard about what LE is?
Logistic execution, right? The logistic execution, transportation, and shipping. We have two things.
Correct, correct, very correct. So, what is this segment of module that you're talking about? What does it do?
Sorry.
So what is this LETRA doing? Is it same as in what TM is doing, or it is something different what you have over
I
here?
think before transportation management comes into picture, I think they used mostly logistic execution, shipping, and transportation earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, as per my knowledge, so now
Oh,
people
fine,
started
fine, very
using.
correct.
Yeah.
Now, definitely correct. So, in the traditional aspect, we only have ECC, and inside ECC, there is something called as LE. And LE is basically logistics execution, which is meant for the transportation part. LE is one of the primitive module that started big that backdated thing when we do not have any other ERP solution to manage your transportation. Okay, this LE is a very simplest kind of module that you can say. Okay, and when we talk about TM, it is much more advanced form of what you will be seeing and delivering the needs of the world today. Okay, and in fact, there is a steep rise in TM because of one of the thing that LE is going to be phased out by 2025 by SAP, which is one of the major thing that you will be seeing why people are moving towards TM. Because all those customers, clients which are still using LE as a part of their solution, they have stabilized system, everything is good. They have to move somehow to TM or to any other solution basically. So LE is basically a primitive solution provided by SAP only, whereas TM is an advanced solution which is coming into picture these days. Now, when we talk about in TM, now you have in TM, there are two things that are coming into market these days. Like you talk about in a standalone TM and you talk about as an embedded TM. Okay. So any picture or idea on this part that what a standalone TM and an embedded TM would mean to you?
So standalone TM is nothing but earlier TM is in separate system, right? It is not included in ECC. So from S4 HANA, it was included in. I mean, the complete entire thing we can find it in TM, EW, and entire thing we can find it in one root, one roof.
Correct, correct, very correct. So basically, prior to S4 HANA, when it came into market itself around in 2014-15, prior to that, every module of SAP was independently working. Like you have an ECC, you have a CRM, you have FI, you have TM, you have all these other modules which are independently working, and you actually are integrating each of these modules with each other within certain integrator or a middleware or a PI kind of a thing. Okay, so standalone module basically refers to that module, that kind of thing. So when I talk about my introduction where I was talking about like TM 9.1, 9.3, 9.5, so all these are nothing but the standalone versions of TM where TM is actually working as a standalone and somehow it would be based upon the architecture of the project must have been integrated. And now when I talk about embedded TM, embedded TM is basically a TM which is introduced during in 2017 where TM got introduced and embedded into your S4 HANA environment. Okay, S4 HANA already was introduced in 2014-15 and probably after that lot many modules it came under its umbrella, and after that TM also came into umbrella of embedded S4, and then it basically got renamed and framed as an embedded TM in S4 HANA system. So probably you have Not many versions which are coming up around these days. The latest version of embedded TM in S4HANA is basically a 2022. Okay, and the standalone latest version is 99.6. Okay, okay. So talking about what all are the other modules, as I said, TM is closely and tightly integrated to EHS system, CRM system, ECC system, GTS, EWM, and in most of the cases, it will be integrated with the event management system. Okay. Apart from that, it might also get integrated with your collaboration portal or any carrier portal that you'll be coming up with. Okay. So probably the future aspects I'll be discussing probably towards the end of the session that we'll be having as a QA part over there. So this is just a brief background what SAP TM gives it to you and what is LE, what is TM, and what is standalone and embedded TM and their linkages. Now, talking about what all things that will be covered as a part of our curriculum. So this is just a brief highlight that I am showing it to you. I'll be taking you to the course content on a deeper level, just to give you what all things that we'll be covering as a part of our content. This similar content that we are going to go with in our sessions. So we'll be initiating with the shipping and logistics terminology, moving on with what SAP TM is. We'll be focusing on two basic broad categories of scenarios that we'll be seeing as a part of our curriculum, that is LSP based scenario and a shipper scenario. Now, what is an LSP or what is a shipper scenario? Okay, so to talk about LSP scenario is basically a logistic service provider scenario. Okay, what is a logistic service provider scenario? You must have heard about some companies called as DHL or FedEx or Panel Pina. Have you guys have heard about?
Yes, Akash.
So these are basically the logistics service provider companies. What is the purpose of these companies? They're not the companies which are actually transporting the goods. They are actually the companies which are merely providing an or platform for you for the transportation purpose. They are just simply acting as a facilitator, which is interacting and helping you interact with the carriers to transport the goods. Okay. For example, you want to send out certain item to Australia. Very basic fundamental thought that will come into your mind is I'll reach out to some nearby DHL store or FedEx store. Okay. Once you arrive over there, your tension is almost vanished because you hand over your goods and package to them, and it is their responsibility basically to send out the goods. That is where LSP comes into picture. So we'll talk about LSP on a very deep detail. Shipper scenario is basically a scenario where a manufacturer or a producer or a shipper basically is the one where they are interacting to the carriers directly. For example, you were interacting to the DHL and DHL interacted to the carrier to facilitate the services. Now, there could be a case that you might directly interact to a carrier. If that is the case, then that becomes a shipper scenario based case. Okay, and that is where we'll come into a picture that how TM is being implemented and seen as a shipper scenario and how it can be seen as an LSP case. Okay, so to talk about these, okay, so let me take you to the deep detail course content to talk about what all things that we are going to cover. Okay, so to talk about, as I said, our entire session would be divided into sub modules and we'll be covering. So we'll be starting with the very basic terminologies, as I said, which will introduce all those aspects that we are seeing over here and the shipper scenario and the industry scenario. Now coming down to what all submodules are there as a part of your TM subject. So the very first submodule is the master data. That master data is basically a set of data that comprises of bedrock foundation in TM that talks about various other aspects like location, trade lane, transportation zone, schedule, route. So there are a lot many things that comes as a part of your unique transportation network, which is a part of your TM segment. Apart from this, you also have something with respect to called as resource. Now, when I talk about resource is something which is considered from the vehicle point of view. Okay, human and time are never considered as a resource in transportation management, which might be mistaken. Okay, so it is when I talk about resource, it is always a vehicle which can be considered as a resource, like truck, like plane, like ship is a resource. Organization, business partner, and the product. Basically, these three are the segments which are common across your SAP module that you might have heard about. Okay. Apart from this master data segment, we'll be also be getting into various other aspects from different other subcomponents like charge management. Charge management is basically a segment which will be responsible for calculating the charges in an order, which comprises of some of the sections like scales, rate table, calculation sheet, and how do you calculate those charges. We'll be getting into those segments as well. Apart from that, there is also a subsegment called as contract management, which is closely related to the charge management over here. So when I talk about contract management, your freight agreement, forwarding agreement, internal agreement, various kind of agreements will be associated with your charge management, which will help you in calculating the charges to be presented in your orders. Okay. Coming down to the other set of aspects that we'll be going through, it will be more on towards these logistics processes, which are kind of recursive processes that you will be seeing. Okay, that is order management, planning, execution, and the settlement. Order management is basically a process where, if recently I took an example, right, you are going to DHL store. So probably if I can take similar kind of an example, if you're going to DHL store, so you are actually placing an order with DHL. So that comes as a part of your order management system, where you receive an order or you provide an order to your DHL guy. That order can be considered from various other aspects. So if I'm talking about an ocean perspective, so it might be an LCL or FCL kind of a case. If it is an air kind of a case, probably you have other kind of order management thing that we'll be talking about. There will be forwarding order, forwarding quotations. So we'll talk about all these aspects, what all cases these might arise in your cases. Ultimately, the motto is to have an order. Once you have an order, that order will be planned based upon some of the planning attributes that you have it in the system, talking about how it can be planned. Now, if I want to go from Delhi to Mumbai, maybe the shipment that I am sending via DHL has to go from Delhi to Mumbai. So definitely DHL is going to plan that shipment. Now DHL will be planning based upon internal parameters that how it has to be sent, like whether I have to send it via air, via road, via rail, because I have three possible transportation aspects. Based upon this, my planning team will be planning those aspects with the help of these transport TM related attributes like planning profile, transport unit building rule, selection profile, transportation cockpit. These basically subjects will be considered as a part of your planning, which will help you in planning an object that, okay, from Delhi to Mumbai, I'll be going via truck on so and so date. That is something my planning team is going to do. Once my planning is completed, probably I'll be passing on the same order to an execution team, basically to take care of the real-time ground level execution of my order that talks about the truck is finalized, but who is going to carry that order? I'll be finalizing my carriers in my execution process that one truck is needed, planning team has already come up with that. Now, how it is going to be executed? So I'll be finding out the best carrier. I means the DHL guy. So whether it has to be via a rail or road, like it has to be freight order, if it has to be via air or ocean, it can be via freight booking. Probably I'll talk about service orders, tendering, carrier selection, and various other aspects also well as a part of your execution process. Last but not the least, the subsegment or submodule that we are having over here is with respect to the settlement part, which talks about the settlement which is going to happen. Now, when I talk about settlement, it's basically the charges settlement that will be happening. Now, there are multiple kind of settlements and different kind of areas where you can use these settlement, like forwarding settlement, spread settlement, internal settlements. So there are multiple areas, aspects where we'll be talking about these settlements and we'll discuss on those. Coming down to now, this is something what you already will be seeing in. Now, apart from that, I'll take you from the functional configuration point of view also, that what all are the integrational aspects, touch points. Okay, there are multiple touch points that I'll be taking you through. I'll be taking you through each and every configuration node, SPR node, that is something which is relevant from the TM perspective. Definitely, I'm saying from the TM box, whatsoever can be covered, I'll be taking you through each and every node. There is also an additional thing that I'll be illustrating in our course module, that is an additional part that is called as collaboration portal, which is basically a carrier management or integrated portal which carriers use by integrating TM with collaboration portal. So that is something is a real-time thing that you will not be able to see in TM. So that is an external license tool that you need to buy out from SAP, and then you need to integrate it with TM so that carriers can have a better visibility on the orders, because carriers do not understand your SAP screens. So you have to have a simplified UI screen that is provided by SAP. So that is something I will showcase it to you from a real-time document that I have it from my end, and that is something I'll be taking you through. So the entire thing that I'll be taking you through, it will be the entire course will be of 30-hour duration that we'll be spending together along with the the details of the aspects that we'll be going through. And like it depends, it is not a hard line kind of a thing. It depends how we go ahead. And the sessions will be very flexible based upon your suitability and timings and availability that you will be having. Accordingly, we'll be having the sessions. Sana or the team will be there to coordinate for the sessions, and we'll be having the sessions just like this over here, which will be recorded and recordings will be sent it to you. Okay. As a part of this, it will be coordinated, so you do not need to worry on that part. The contents will be shared. Whatever I'll be sharing it with you, I'll be in the sessions. I'll be uh, mailing you down, so don't need to worry on that part. And talking about the hour, we can go with a daily session. We can go with an alternative session. We can go with an uh, weekend session. It depends on how we proceed with. Okay, so that is something is all about the structure, how we are going to go with the session. Okay. Any queries up till now, maybe?
Yeah. Hi Akash, Rashikar here. I have a few questions. So
Yeah.
here you mentioned that integration. So basically integration, if you take the ECC part, I mean different
Mm,
systems, right? ECC and the TM.
correct.
So in this case,
Mm,
you will be integrating with, I mean majorly with HD. I think if there is a MM and also with EWM and
mm,
so will also with FI, right?
correct.
And will you
So
be covering all
definitely,
these four in?
yes, I will be covering what all integration aspects are there from the TM touchpoint basis. Definitely, there are integration touchpoints and nodes from the other systems also. Okay, but I'll be taking you through what all things that are covered as a part of your TM box, I would say,
Okay, yeah,
because
understood. I
TM
mean,
will be covering.
majorly you are
Yeah,
giving training on TM and it's related to TM
correct.
only you would be covering. That I am sure.
Yes.
But so will you be, I mean, covering like explaining us like what are the interfaces used between these two systems? I mean, majorly.
Yes, I'll be taking on that part specifically on TM ECC part. I will take up specifically because why? Because you have uh, shipper scenario which is heavily dependent on your shipper on the ECC side basically. When you have a sales order which will be coming into same. So so just to depict that, I'll be getting the system only how it would look like.
So you will be covering, I mean, two scenarios, like how it will be in HD scenario and how it will be in STO scenario. Both the cases would you be covering here?
Shipper scenario consists of all these scenarios basically your purchase order, sales order, STOs. Okay.
Okay.
So shipper scenario is
And
basically a broader picture. LSP is
mhm.
a different picture. Shippers contains your all the sales order, purchase order, and STO cases.
Okay. And one more doubt is like basically I'm a SAP MM consultant.
Hmm.
So TM which comes, I think I just want to know whether TM is useful more for HD consultant or MM consultant. So if as a MM consultant, can I learn this?
Yes, yes.
Will it
Basically, it is
help?
an independent module, so it does not rely specifically. However, it has been a myth that if you're an SD, then you should go with TM. That is a myth that I can say. But eventually, I have seen MM people picking up that because you have the purchase orders coming in from MM side only, right? So you will be going ahead with the same also.
Okay. So
But
in
the
order
only
to
thing
learn
is,
this, we should have some basic knowledge on deliveries, right? So if suppose if I don't have any knowledge on delivery part, would you be at least
not
give?
required.
Will you be giving an overview? So it's not required.
I'll give you yeah, I'll give you that part. But I would say if you will be working in the real time projects, you won't be required to get into the ECC side and to create all these objects and see those things in team. Moreover, you will be having a separate team which will be responsible for creating
Yeah,
deliveries,
yeah, yeah.
orders, purchase orders, and you might be just receiving those details just to check it in TM that whether you have received those details in TM or not. Maybe that will be an
I
internal
mean,
arrangement which your
sometimes
customer.
if you want to run any test cases, they would be sometimes we have to do, right. So why I'm asking this question
Correct.
is like in my project, TM person would be doing OTC part also. I mean, HD part also he would be
Right.
doing that.
So that depends. If I
Whenever.
can comment on that. But yes, that depends on the project orientation, that how the teams are structured and how much load everybody is being given. So I have seen people working on SD, MM, like O2C, basically that part, and TM part, and eventually FI part also, till the settlement and how it is being realized. So invoicing and all everything, people, the same team is doing.
Okay.
But
And one
in
more
the
thing.
standard
So
cases, it will not
yeah,
be
yeah,
there.
go ahead. Okay. So will you be covering S4 HANA? I mean, delta changes with ECC and S4 HANA? I mean, anything, any such plans?
Yes, I'll be going through, but the only thing is you must be knowing the previous system also. So that is something I feel a challenge that you might guys might not know what the previous SAP team was offering. But however, whatever things we'll be going through, I'll keep on iterating that this is something which is new in this version, which was not available in the previous feed in the previous version. So probably I can help you in that, which I keep on iterating. But the only thing is you might not be able to map it like because you have not seen the previous versions of the system. So maybe
Yeah, I mean that's why
it will
like
be a
once
new
you
thing for you.
completed the
Yeah,
entire course, I mean at least one session will you be taking that at the end of the course? Like these are the major things in which are changed from ECC to S4 HANA.
right. That is something which it will go on. So it will go on with the part that we are going to
Okay.
do. So just to give you all a brief snippet of what a shipper scenario basically is, just to give you all a brief aspect, let me take you to the system. I believe system access and credentials will be provided by Sana and team. Okay, and this is how a system will be looking like. You'll be given a remote access. Okay, and where you can log in into the screen, and you'll be able to get into this part. Okay, so just to talk about of a shipper scenario, very simple segment. I hope it will be visible. So just to talk about what a shipper scenario is, okay. Shipper scenario is basically a scenario which is also referred as a 2PL scenario. And this 2PL scenario is basically referred from the part of two parties which are included in the logistics system. Now, we'll study in deep detail what all are these PL systems that we are talking about. But just to talk about two parties which are involved in the logistics cases are called as 2PLs. So when I talk about 2PL scenario, 2PL scenario is basically a case where you have one party as a shipper. Now that shipper can be any company, like it can be a manufacturer, it can be a producer, it can be you also, okay, who is directly interacting with another party called as carrier. Okay, so when you are directly interacting to a carrier, probably that will be referred as a 2PL case or a shipper scenario. So generally, how it is carried out in system, so usually you have a sales order which gets created in, okay, and that happens in ECC environment, okay. So the moment the sales order gets created, okay, it gets converted into TM as a freight unit. Now how it gets converted? There are certain conflicts which we'll discuss, and I'll show it to you probably once you will be joining in the session. We'll talk about these conflicts in a deep detail and each and every node which are required. So based upon these configurations, the sales order will be moving into TM as an freight unit. These freight units are basically assigned to a certain aspect. Certain another terminology that I'm introducing is something called as a freight order. Freight order, just to let you know, is basically an order that I'll be giving to this particular carrier to execute. Okay, it is simply an order, just like how you place an order. So you are directly interacting with the truck owner and you are asking the truck owner to move the goods from point A location to B location. What is a freight unit? Just to give you a brief idea, freight units are basically your items which needs to be moved. So your sales order contains those materials or items, those objects which are required to be moved to TM system as in freight unit. These freight units are associated and assigned to an order called as freight order, which will be executed in the real time by the truck carrier to proceed ahead. Now, this segment, like moving of sales order to TM, sales order to freight unit in from ECC to TM, that comes as a part of some of the conflicts that we'll talk about once we'll be there. How this happens? Probably I'll just give you a brief snippet over here that what happens. Usually you create a sales order. Okay, so it is as simple. You'll be creating it a regular sales order, I would say. Once you create a sales order, now this thing is exactly same. Okay, for the sales order, for the purchase orders, for the stock transport order also. Okay, so there is only a point of config that will be making this thing applicable. Okay, that we'll see. So either of these things will land up into TM as in freight unit only. So if you have a config maintained, so the relevant sales order that you have created, okay, will be moving into TM. How? Once you maintain these configs, there are two configs which are required. Once these two configs are needed or are there in the system, Based upon that, there will be a status TM status tab which will be enabled over this side. This TM status tab will be depicting that, okay, yes, there is something which is integrated to TM, and we have a sales order which is actually giving an indication that there is something called as a freight unit which is getting created. This freight unit that you're talking about is actually the same thing that you will be seeing in this TM side. Okay, so if you would notice over here, like 46 series with 60, 600, 601. So these are the same thing which you will be able to see in the Fury side. So now when you get into TM side, as you're aware, SAP S/4HANA is coming up with the Fury applications. So you will be having this Fury tiles available over here, responsible for order management, logistics integration, planning, settlement, contract, like where you have an agreements, charge management, calculation sheets and all master data. All these things will be there. So coming back to what we need. So since we have already recognized that we have a certain freight unit which is created over here, this freight unit will be, you'll have to find it in your TM side. So for that, you will be finding it out. Just give me a second. Okay. So you will be having these freight units like 600 and 601 over this side. So you will be finding it out your freight units available over this side. Now this is basically nothing but a conversion of how sales order gets into TM as a freight unit based upon these configs. You'll be able to see that the same sales order that you have created due to some of the configurations has moved into TM side as in freight unit over here. And this is the same thing, I think, if you see 434, which was our sales document, which contains these things. So in fact, we have two freight units which are created. So if you open the 600, this is the same. And if you also open 601, it will also refer back to the same sales order. So you will be having, you'll be planning these sales orders separately, probably, to proceed with the freight order. So that is something you will be proceeding once you'll be there in the part of session. I'll take you through how things goes in goes out from the team. Okay, so that is something is all about what you're going to go with. So considering the time that we are having in, I would just like you have, if you guys have any queries, probably you can let me know over this. So you'll be given the system access and credentials by Sana and team over there, so don't need to worry on that part. You guys can check with her and we'll be proceeding.
So Akash, what will be the duration of this course?
It will be for 30 hours as said. So with 30 hours, we'll be going through the course, and then it depends on how we proceed. Basically, if it is going ahead with a good understanding, probably we can wrap it up in 30. Probably we might need to extend a little bit of plus minus 2 3 hours. You can take up a buffer. Okay. So
Akash,
yes, Rakesh.
yeah, no, actually, in your slide there was uh, one point where you told us that you will take it in last of the session, that future career aspect something.
Correct. So nowadays, if I would say, TM is on a rise, on a spike because of two factors. Because as I said, one of the factor was LE being obsoleted by 2025, so people definitely would like to move into SAP TM because they are already working with SAP. So the clients already are in SAP. So that is one of the thing. Another aspect which is majorly booming up TM is because of most of the companies have started having their in-house team in most of the companies, because transportation is needed by every other company. So from the career aspect, if I would say, it is a very booming market right now, because whosoever will be there as a part of your transportation consultant, wherever you'll be in-house or boarded, definitely you will be there will be a need of TM person or candidate, and that's the reason this is not only a need in Indian market, it is also a need majorly and highly required in the European markets, if I would say specifically. So definitely there is a large market there in the European side specifically. Shivraj, I think you were trying to say something.
No, for that, and there is a usually
Yeah. So that is all basically from my end for as a part of today's session. Maybe you guys can get in touch with Sana and have your query sorted out. Maybe you guys can reach out to me via Sana if needed. And if you guys have any doubts and clarification, definitely do respond and do reach out to Sana. And thanks for your time, guys. I'm hoping guys will be having a great fun and have a good weekend.
thanks, Akash. Wish you the same.
Thanks, Akash.
Thank you
Bye.
all.
Thank you, sir.